My name is Dr. Fiona Ellis and I am co-owner here at Highfield Road Wellness Centre. Osteopathy is a science and an art, as is chiropractic. So it's very much about a system, it's a regulated system of diagnosis and treatment. The premise of osteopathy and chiropractic is that structure governs function. So if the structure of your body and the structure of your spinal area, so your vertebrae and the spinal nerves coming out between them, if they are free of disruption and if they are symmetrical and as mobile as possible, then your function improves in the trillions of ways that can be. We're having a look at areas of focusing particularly on the spine and the vertebrae, and we're looking for misalignments there and we're seeking to remove them.
I had an injury about 15 years ago, and that resulted in me having a misalignment in my spine, and someone suggested that I try osteopathy, as I was finding that I had a lot of back pain at the time. So initially I came because I had a chronic situation, but now I've achieved so much wellness and health through coming regularly that I now come and get adjusted every 6 to 8 weeks.
At the point that I was with my back problem, I was basically seized in bed. I didn't really need to think too much about coming and trying something different, to be honest.
After he was born, after my son Ty was born, he actually had his first adjustment when he was only 4 days old. And he's been an incredibly healthy, happy, settled child. People have been so envious of me.
I had a nasty incident about 10 years ago when two young chaps mugged me for my handbag, and through that I received a nasty head injury and terrible whiplash. I was receiving medication of my doctor and my neck wasn't getting any better, so I was recommended to come see an osteopath. And through seeing the osteopath and the chiropractors working together, they have put my neck the way it was before the incident.
I was suffering from a sore back condition and regularly working as a veterinary surgeon basically for hours, basically leaning over tables. I needed some way to actually sort of deal with the problem. I didn't find that the routine healthcare sort of management would really be giving much direction on that at all. I didn't know what to expect, but I think you give something a chance basically and see what the effects are. And I think for my position basically to see fairly rapid responses basically and to find that there are alternatives to perhaps using painkillers or perhaps being just back rested for several weeks, which is often the sort of modern medicine approach.
What I used to do was have a problem and then see somebody, but since I met Fee, I've been having spinal health care to maintain my posture, to maintain my health. And Jamie, he is very, very healthy, and he has adjustments, regular adjustments.
I'd been to an osteopath previously, and I maybe went every time I had a problem. But what I found unique or different about Fiona's approach was the first time I actually had a session with her, she actually explained to me that it wasn't actually about the spine, it was about the central nervous system, and it seems a bit obvious, but that was the first time somebody had actually explained that to me. And the whole thing made a lot more sense.
As a good osteopath and a chiropractor, we have to acknowledge that health comes down to chemical, physical, emotional. So it comes down to eat well, move well, think well. And we're working on the moving well part of things. So we're saying if your structure is in balance, if your nerves are uncompromised, if the chemicals can get to in the body where they need to be and wastes can be taken away, then we stand a much better chance of feeling abundantly well, but also fighting disease and illness. People always ask us, why isn't it on the NHS? And it's not on the NHS because what we're saying is we're talking about maintenance and wellness care, and that has to be a certain element of personal responsibility. And to me, the NHS shouldn't be called the health service, it should be called the illness service, because there's nothing in the NHS that really takes people towards health. It can hide symptoms, it can chop things out, but it doesn't take someone from sick to well. Now that's a contentious issue. It takes people from sick to not sick. It doesn't necessarily take them from sick to well. We don't give people drugs. The pharmaceutical industry is very, very powerful a very powerful part of our economy. And what we don't do, we're not selling anything, we're not doing anything, we're just asking people to take responsibility for their own health and to help us help them.
I thought it would be quite clinical, and in fact I found the complete opposite. I find the whole experience quite holistic.
I have recommended an awful lot of people to come because I've heard different people saying how bad they are, and I've said you should see an osteopath, and one boy in particular was going to be in a wheelchair, and he now plays football.
If you've got any doubts basically about coming to a place that's an unusual name, Osteopathy Chiropractor, I think the accessibility of what's here compared to somebody having to pay a lot of money to go to a spa for a massage, or perhaps waiting several months to go and see a physiotherapist, whereas you can actually book an appointment basically within a week and basically be here getting some therapy and getting some positive sort of moves made towards improving your health.
The ambience here and the environment is holistic health. So from the moment you walk in through the door, from the colour schemes to the friendly welcome to the facilities for children to play.
The whole approach, once you get into it, just is much more general and has a much wider impact on your total health. And I think that's the big step change that I've made from previous osteopaths to this one. It's the total picture, it's the total care.
There are simply a lot of people who don't want to come to see us. They're perfectly happy if they have a headache. They don't want to know the reason behind having a headache. They're perfectly happy to go down to, their local supermarket or chemist and buy a paracetamol. And they don't understand, that there is such a bigger picture going on behind what we just take on board as aches and pains, arthritis. We're told to go live with it. They don't have to, but they don't know that. And a lot of the medical profession don't know that. They don't know the success of what we do.